Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and we're here again for a Datacron set review covering the upcoming, actually no, it's already existing in the game, Set 16. I am joined, of course, by the one, the only Aesop Rock, one of the winningest ever GAC players to ever do it. How you doing, sir? Good to see you again.
I'm doing good. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. Okay, so I'm really happy that we finally started recording because I was just trying to align the agenda for this when we first got on this call, and we really had to just stop ourselves from talking because like we were immediately like starting to get into details. So it's man, I'm just glad that we finally have the camera rolling and now we can get into it. So guys, this is a really cool set. First of all, I think Aesop had just confirmed here just a moment ago that the 3, 6, and 9 are kind of decoupled in a way that's never been true for Datacrons before. Like, say what you said just a minute ago, Aesop, about that.
So the rerolls don't impact. So the three, sixes, and nines are like if you reroll your nine, then I think you can reroll your six independently, and it's half cost. Or maybe it's still linked. I can't remember, but it's
I thought they
definitely the
had
sixes
cost
are half cost.
independent of each other.
Yeah, well, the threes and the nines are still linked. Like if you reroll to the 80s, to the 80 reroll mats from the nines, then you're at 80 reroll mats for the threes.
Okay,
The
okay.
part that's decoupled, which drives me crazy trying to reroll a cron, is that you can roll like a light side and then an attacker level six, for instance, and then whatever the equivalent, level nine attacker is for that. But then if you go back to reroll the level three ability, you can roll that dark side, which can screw up your alignments that you want to do. Before it was just solely locked in as a light side or dark side cron. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's intentional from the CG perspective, but right now it's created a lot more, unfortunately, options when re-rolling the crons for right now. If they keep it for this set, then my my plan is to basically roll all the level threes out, and then once I get the level threes I want the cron I'm trying to build, I'll build it from there.
Yeah.
Because re-rolling that level three ability is a pain in the butt right now.
Yes, so being able to have new combinations of light and dark side alignments with these new level sixes, which are actually role based instead of faction based for the very first time, really interesting stuff. This introduces a lot of new combinations to the game, which is how CG would pitch it, right? This is a benefit to you in that you get to do stuff you strictly could not do before. You couldn't line these things up this way before. The upside for them is, yeah, there's so many more combinations now that you can actually get per Datacron that it's going to be considerably more challenging to zero in on exactly the cron you're going for. So expect to be re-rolling set 16 a little more than usual. Would you say the same, Mesa?
Oh, absolutely. And I pity our TW leads are going to have to try to figure out how to make crons out of all this mismatch of stuff out there. So good luck to all those TW leads out there.
The collective groaning from everyone in the TW scene, in competitive TW scene in general, about going after specific crons is going to be serious. It's going to, yeah, TW servers are going to be just forever. All right, let's dig right in to alignments. So, just covering first the light side ones, we have the return of whenever light side allies inflict a debuff on an enemy, they deal damage to that enemy equal to 2% of that enemy's max health. That's just fantastic. That brings back good memories of Dash. This will be
Mm-hmm.
wonderful with your BKM. Gosh, I mean JML. Because we have set 14 expiring, right? So
Yeah.
I mean you're
Oh,
losing
yeah.
your main Jedi Cron. You're used to thinking in terms of people that are inflicting damaging debuffs, but it's all debuffs. So even ones that normally
Mm-hmm.
don't do damage are going to be doing damage. Just
Like thermals, so you can go for your fast contract Java, like for Boosh kind of
yes,
thing.
yeah.
So
So while you might be
yeah.
thinking about like dark side otherwise on your Java team, this
Mm-hmm.
light side benefit for specifically Bausch is great. The rest, well, this next one, the dispels at the beginning of their turn. Light side allies have a 25% chance to dispel all debuffs on themselves. I remember the last time we had this being pretty limited use. Like if you were of the mind to set
Yeah.
a full CLS team or something, might be an okay idea.
It never procs. I've tried to
Yeah.
make that useful. It never works.
All
I
right.
don't
So
think. I think it feels like it's like 5%. if that.
Okay, so
So
we tried to give it, folks, we tried to give it its due, but it's really just not that strong. So yeah, that debuffs one, that first one's great. This is probably the most frequently other one that you're
yeah,
gonna use is this third one. Whenever light side allies use a basic ability, they gain crit chance up, crit damage up, and offense up for 2 turns. This is incredibly powerful, and you can just manipulate it any number of ways, setting things up where you have like a character. Think about dash. I'm not saying there's a lot of circumstances where you want to do this, but just as an example, if you were to, um, you know, uh, basic on his first turn, set him up with all these buffs, have something set up to quickly get him up to his second turn, kapow, just a significantly bigger opener. A poor example, but just one. And then these last couple, the 2% health recovery and the critical chance stacking, these are kind of duds. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Dark side. The return of whenever dark side allies inflict damage over time on an enemy, they gain a stack of protection up 5%, stacking, and it doesn't put a limit there, so that's indefinite until the end of the encounter. So this is the return of the very durable Lord Vader. You've got Darth Vader. You've got Wampa. Is there anyone else I'm missing?
Maybe Candy, but I think it'd be those guys. Maybe you could. Everyone's improved their Sideuses both for the raid and for the Datacron. Maybe there's
Fair.
something you can do with Sidious that we haven't thought of. But
Fair. At least he wouldn't be a complete meme to throw on some type of team in that sense. Yeah, that's fair. This next one is also just great. I'm glad this one's back. The first time a dark side tank ally is defeated, revive them with 100% health, reset their cooldowns, and they gain a bonus turn, limit once per battle. Malgus, the absurd, returns to the fight.
yeah,
Kersantin. Kersantin can be, reviving, and I'm trying to think about who else is crazy benefiting from this. I mean, obviously, any dark side team with a tank, but just
yeah,
it's
there's just a bunch of options out there. So
particularly, this is like a horror show for Malgus. Like when he comes back, and he's all ornery, cooldowns reset. Yeah.
Well, you can roll health on this. I think can you roll health on this cron set too, right? As a stat. We'll get to stats in a second.
Yeah, they have that in a separate post, but I do think so. What were the stats?
I think it's health, physical damage. They broke out the damage rather than just pure offense. It was physical and special damage.
Yeah, I think there's crit damage on this set too, stat wise. Anyway, the next one here on Dark Side. Whenever Dark Side allies use a basic ability, they gain speed up for 2 turns. It's okay. I'd say it's one of the lower options. This next one's pretty crazy. Whenever dark side allies use a special ability, they gain 15% turn meter. You don't really need to sell this one. This one's gonna be like generically good for any purely dark side team.
Well, the only difference, I think you're underrating the speed up. Speed up gives a huge speed boost, which is nice, and there's lots of things where you can turn, assist, and call. The challenge with the 15% is that it's only 15% for that one character, I believe, not for the whole team. And so, yes, you gain 15%, so it's a little boost for that one character when they use a special to help get around again.
Yeah, that's fair. I did misinterpret it because yeah. Fair enough. No. Yeah, okay. Well then, yeah. The speed up, everybody being able to get it is pretty nice.
Yeah. I think, again, all of these are situational. That there's certain situations where these are going to be fantastic and more beneficial than others. Like if you're going against a JMK team with some dark side team, once SLKR Kron's gone or whatever, having speed up is huge rather than versus the TM. So there's just, again, you're going to want to mix the really as you go forward.
That is a really fair point. I like that. That's a good one. And yeah, your the first 2 dark side ones, the protection up and the tank revive, are probably going to be. You're not going to need a ton of these, right? You're only going to need a couple of each. So as far as like a baseline though ability, I could see. Okay, you sold me on the speed up. All right, fair enough. Props. And last here for dark side allies start the battle with protection up 20% for 2 turns. It's okay. It's especially okay in situations where you're needing to clean up. I like that. I have historically enjoyed that for Wampa, but there's probably better options now that we have the protection up stacking.
Yeah. Well, and the troopers always love the extra buffs at the beginning. We help get them going.
For Imperial
So
troopers, yes, yes. For Veer's lead, Okay, guys, this is where we get really wild. We start to get wild because this is the first time we've had level 6 be about roles and not about faction alignment of some type. So let's talk about healer. This first one is a doozy. Whenever a character is healed by an allied healer, they reduce their cooldowns by 1. Whenever an ally healer is critically hit, they recover 10% health and gain 10 speed, stacking max 100 for the rest of the encounter. Whenever an ally is revived on an ally healer's turn, all allies recover 100% max health and max protection. And the first time each healer ally is defeated, they are revived and recover 100% max health. That is all just one ability. So how crazy are you about this one?
I mean, this is, I think, my healer one of choice. Like, this is nuts.
It's really powerful, and here's
Yeah.
the catch, guys. Here's the limit. I have this up on screen. Here's how many healers there are in the game. Okay, there are like 13, something like that. Now, that said, there's some of these characters. There's going to be better role alignments to choose for the teams that they go on, but take a look at who you have up to snuff in your roster that is a healer, and think a little expansively because characters like Talia, Tuscan Shaman, Visas, maybe even IG-11, all will have a consular will have an unusual opportunity to shine within this set.
Yeah.
So
Well, even the healers here, ones you can combine on a squad, and we were talking about this a little before this, but like if you can put Talia and Daka on a squad together, right? Now you can't, can you even kill that team, right? Because without something that stops reviving, because if I recall, go back to the
yeah, absolutely, we'll kick that down.
the first each healer ally is defeated, they are revived and recover 100% max health. So I guess I don't know how to interact with zombie, but for 3s you can have some fun. You basically create like a zombie-like thing where Daka and Talia will revive, and then they obviously Daka can keep reviving. Like you can have some crazy fun with these sets.
I wonder
there's going to be
if
some
how
wild
that would
mechanics with
execute.
these.
I wonder how that would execute because doesn't it go that like character uniques execute at the start of battle ahead of Datacron uniques?
I think so. I think that's the order of operations.
Datacron abilities. So you would think that it would should consume zombie revive before it consumes this revive. But yeah, wow.
Well, and Daka's heal, when Daka revives everybody, she's going to put everybody at max health and max protection based on the second to bottom line of that, right? Because anytime anybody's revived on that turn, like it's just going to be crazy.
That is super powerful. Let's take a look at the other healer ones real quick here. So whenever healer allies target another ally with an ability during their turn, they both gain 5% defense, max health, max protection, and offense, stacking until the end of battle. It sounds like it could be okay, but historically, any of these ones where it's target one ally and stack them, they've universally been outshined by some other choice. I don't know if you wanted to stump for this one at all, though, Aesop.
Again, I've found like very rare occasions where I'm like, oh, I can use Vandor's, thing and Jacob Dash and whatever or something, but it's, yeah.
But would you rather have that or have the above passive for IG-11, right?
Taking the above, exactly right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So here we are again, folks. Yeah. All right. So the next one, at the end of each turn, healer allies recover health and protection equal to 50% of the amount enemies recovered that turn. This recovery can't trigger this effect on enemies. It's, again, one of the more mediocre ones. Whenever healer allies recover health, they recover protection equal to the amount of health recovered. Healer allies can't recover protection this way more than once per turn, or if their health was full. Yeah, again, kind of just Whenever healer allies have full health and protection at the start of their turn, they deal 100% more damage on their turn. Now, again, maybe situationally interesting,
Uh-huh.
particularly for healers that have the ability to do AoE damage, something like an IG-11 maybe. But
Yeah.
again, when are you going to want this effect for IG-11 and not the first effect?
Yeah. I mean, again, there might be situational, like the ones I'm thinking about, like, so the second to last one where you recover protection along with health, if you have a passive healer, say like Varus, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious if you get crit, is it Varus's heals, I mean, count as a heal, right? They keep you, but now we will also recover your protection. And is that end after that one time you get hit, or is it constant? Again, I'm curious how that operates, but you might have everyone just be full max health, max protection all the time if you're going against a Zeros comp at that level 6. I have no idea. We have to test some of these things to see how they mechanically work, but it could be
Yeah.
crazy.
That is interesting, and if that were the case, that'd be pretty challenging to deal with. Otherwise, I would think that
Oh yeah, the long text one for
the,
sure.
the long text for Xeris would also just be heinous, man. All
Well,
right.
now we're gonna get to the level 9s for her eventually, but yeah, we'll do the dark side first. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah.
others,
Yeah, so next role alignment here is support, folks. Again, we have like a standout long text ability that's going to be the one you're mostly seeking, but it's out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 20% chance on its face for you to see this one. Whenever a support ally starts their turn, dispel tenacity up from all enemies, and then reduce their tenacity by 100% until the end of the turn. Whenever a support inflicts a debuff on an enemy, all allies get benefits based on their rolls for the rest of the encounter. Attackers get 10% critical damage, healers get 5% tenacity, supports get 10% potency, tanks get 5% defense. And whenever a support grants a buff to another ally, they also inflict buff immunity for one turn on all enemies. This is insane. This combines some of the rarest effects in the game and applies it to whole teams. So this is probably for. I mean, when we get to attacker is definitely going to be really powerful. But this seems like the most standout. Holy crap! Ability in the entire write up for me.
hmm yeah, and like troopers and things like that jump to mind instantly. Like teams with heavy support, lots of support characters, Afra, things like that. Like I don't know.
Yeah. There's too many combinations to even think of. But like you're also thinking about leaders that you use them like attackers, but they are in fact
Mm,
supports, like Dash, stuff like that.
yeah,
And then, as you alluded to earlier, you're thinking about like the synergy of having two healers on the same team. You have something like a Dash and an IG-11 on the same. Well, IG-11's a healer, but
no,
yeah, you
like
could have a
Kira or
support
something.
like
Yeah,
Kira, right?
or Queel is Queel a support or is he an attacker? I
Queel
should have looked that
is,
up.
I think, a support. Yes. So there's you could have like up to three supports, I guess.
Yeah,
Anyway, there's just a number of ways to combine this for insane like double dipping, just with having two characters of that same role type on the same team. All right, next ability here. At the end of their turn, support allies recover 50% protection if they inflicted at least 5 debuffs that turn. It's not bad. Very few characters could take advantage of that, though. Whenever support allies grant a buff to another ally, that ally gains 10% turn meter, limit once per turn per ally. And then whenever support allies attack out of turn, they have a 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from the target. This is easily like one of the weakest ones, man. 10% chance for a 25, or what is it? 25%
yeah.
chance for
Chance
10%
for
turn
ten
meter?
percent.
Eh. And then whenever support ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is ability blocked, inflict ability block for one turn on the enemy, which can't be evaded or resisted. There are definitely corner cases where this is useful, but probably not a generically strong choice. So aside from this long text one, that's really incredible. What do you think
The
about these
the
others?
the grant buff to another ally gains 10% turn meter could be clutch. Like if you're of support characters that are spamming buffs, think like Yoda, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we're just generating turn meter to everybody.
Oh
Just
my God,
here's turn meter,
Grandmaster
turn meter,
Yoda.
turn meter, right?
That's a
Is it
good one.
herb?
I
Like
like
I mean,
that
there's
one.
all sorts of things. So I mean,
So
or like
yeah,
the QA team and stuff. Like all like, again, part of it is also future proofing, right? Once some of the crons that we're gonna
right.
have in set 15 are gone, then like we're gonna lose POW cron. What is QA gonna use going forward? A lot of supports on that team. This could be clutch. So
That is a great observation. Great choice. All right. Attackers. So, yeah, they didn't put spacing in between these, so I'll be sure to try and call them out separately. First one, whenever an attacker critically hits, they attack again, limit once per turn. Otherwise, they gain 10% defense penetration stacking. So, if they don't crit, they get the defense penetration. This is, again, probably the standout of the set. There's others that are great here, but double
they
hitting
all,
is really good.
the true damage piece is also part of that same ability.
Oh,
The next
geez,
line is also
really?
part of that.
Oh,
Yes.
there. Okay,
For,
see, all right. I see a separator. I see a separator
yeah.
here on the left. All
Yeah.
right. So this is a part of the same ability, folks. Whenever an attacker attacks out of turn, they deal bonus true damage, which can't be evaded. Okay, yes, very much a standout. Who can you think of that's not going to be good at this, right? All right. The next ability. Whenever attacker allies critically hit an enemy during their turn, that ally gains 10% offense stacking for 2 turns. Now that's great. That'd probably be a strong backup for me to the second one or to the first one that we just covered. Whenever an attacker ally defeats an enemy, they take a bonus turn. Generically great. At the end of their turn, attacker allies gain defense penetration up and offense up for 1 turn. It's average. Like it's a pretty average choice. I've enjoyed that one historically. It's all right. And then whenever attacker allies use special ability on their turn, they gain riposte for 2 turns. So okay, that one can be sneaky. Very few people are actually going to be looking for that one, and so whenever they could sneak that in somewhere, like riposte on Slacker, for example, could be a real problem, kind of a thing. What do you got to say about these attacker abilities
For
in
me,
the
it's
set?
the first one. I've rolled that one and played with it, and it is just silly. You can do absurd things like you just mentioned Slacker, for instance. Now imagine Slacker, who's got advantage, is always going to crit, right? He's hitting once with his double tap, right? Because his basic does 2 attacks. Now he's going to attack again and double tap. Then if you use Hux and call him to assist, or Faust counters calls him to assist, or anybody, now he's attacking out of turn, and now he's doing true damage, and his offense is absurd. So just the offensive output, again, post SLKR Cron will be absolutely absurd, and he's going to have all charge in about 10 seconds.
This is just beautiful. It's beautiful. It sounds crazy overpowered. I'm thinking about like my BT1 Ender of Worlds under
Mm-hmm.
this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. PT1 is now attacking multiple times.
And every time he does his basic, it's 3 hits. Like each one can crit. It's just my god. Thank God
Yeah.
it's limited to once per turn. This would just be like all of your crons would be rolled for attacker. All of them.
Yes.
Anyone else you wanted to call out of these attacker rolls?
I haven't honestly played with any of them. They all have, like, again, situational uses, but I feel like they're all going to get trumped by that first one.
For sure.
Um,
For sure. Okay, time to cover tanks, guys. Again, so they made this so that you've got about 5 abilities and 20% chance to get the winner for that category. And here's the first one: at the start of their turn, tanks gain 20% of their max health as max protection. The first time they lose all of their protection, they recover 100% protection and gain 50% max protection. Whenever tanks are inflicted with a debuff, they taunt for 2 turns. While taunting, they receive 50% less damage from out of turn attacks and assist whenever allies use a special ability. That's all one thing, and the first thing that jumped out to me was Paz Vizsla destroying all life with this.
well, oh, for sure. But do you know what they didn't add in there?
What's that?
Excluding Galactic Legends. Which Galactic Legends do we have our tanks?
I think it's only JML. Am I wrong with
And
that?
Leia.
Leia's. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. She is categorized as a tank. I think of her
Now
more of like a
imagine Leia with
support.
this.
Oh my god, let me think about this. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, there you go.
No. That's very bad. Oh,
Are
that's
you ever
very
going to be able to
bad.
kill Leia? Probably not.
Oh man. JML would love this too.
Yeah,
This is gross. Yeah, this is gross. This is a really outstanding ability. So you're going to have to balance that, folks, because most of your teams are going to feature a couple a couple
hmm
attackers, a couple three maybe, a support, and a
hmm
tank for the most part,
yeah,
and there's a lot of power baked into each of these role-based abilities. The
for
so-called winner
sure.
abilities.
Well, the key is that this is going to be the fun trade-off. Is you might have like offense and defense crons, right? Like for your
Mm,
Leia comp, if you're going to put Leia on defense, you might want this level 6, right? With some of the
yeah,
other, But if you're going to use Leia on offense, then you might want either the support or attacker ones, right? For Drogon and whatever
absolutely.
R2 can do or something. So
Well,
you're
all
going to
right,
have a
let's
mix, your mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, let's briefly cover these other tank abilities because where we've really got to spend time is on the incredible number of level 9 abilities. All right. Whenever a tank ally is critically hit, they gain 100% critical avoidance and 100% crit chance for 2 turns. Sounds situationally useful. At the start of each turn, if non galactic legend tank allies have 50% or more turn meter, damage they receive is reduced by 75% until the end of turn. Okay, so they anticipated that folks would be like, holy crap, that would be kind of broken on, like, JML and Leia. All right, at the start of battle, tank allies lose all max protection and gain that much max health. Tank allies gain grit until the end of battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And it's been a while since we've had the grit effect in the game, but it's defined as this character takes reduced damage from percent health damage effects. So basically, throwing that like that Riva, that portion of the Malik unique, on there, it's pretty nice. Uh, Situationally useful. And then tank allies start the battle with damage immunity for 2 turns, can't be copied, but it can be dispelled, so easily one of the weakest, if not the weakest in the set. Any honorable mentions here for you, Aesop?
I mean, I'm sure there's like grit. I'll have some situational uses for, so I'll definitely try a couple of those. There's certain
Mm-hmm.
instances where I'm going to want that, but I mean, again, in general, the long text is going to be superior in most general cases,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything else is going to have situational fun. Until again, we dig further into this and find it's just there's just so many options because it's not faction linked anymore. So
Very fair. Very fair. All right, guys. This is where it starts to get unhinged. Let's talk about all of these characters. First of all, look at this. It goes on for a bit. All right, there's a lot of these. So let's get cracking because there's definitely winners and losers. All right, Jedi Consular. While Jedi Consular is active, all Jedi allies are immune to healing immunity. Whenever Jedi Consular uses his basic ability, reduces cooldowns by 1, and he gains 7% max health, stacking max of 210% for the rest of the encounter. Whenever Jedi Consular heals an ally, dispel all debuffs on them, and they gain Jedi's Will for 2 turns. So that's that JKL buff where it's, I want to say, some amount of increased speed and offense. And if it applies the same way as JKL when he applies it, it's a locked buff. So they would not be
oh
able
yeah,
to dispel it. And then, whenever Jedi Consular uses Jedi Healing, revive all non Jedi allies. Non Jedi allies. Interesting.
yeah,
Because you'd be thinking Jedi Consular, oh yeah, I just stick that in with Jedi, right? Right? Maybe
yeah.
not. Revive all non Jedi allies with 100% max health and max protection. Whenever Jedi Consular uses attack as defense, that's his other special, deal bonus true damage equal to 50% of his max health, which can't be evaded. So that's actually going to slap. And then the first time Jedi Consular falls below 25% health, he gains 100% evasion for 2 turns. I don't know if that'll be expressed as a dispellable buff or if that's just, some background math for him. I don't know. But immediately you're thinking, what about like having in a Queen Amidala team?
Hmm.
Especially this is a healer, so that would be a
The
choice
thing
for
is,
you. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but he would revive only. He wouldn't revive Pow or Qui-Gon, right? Because they're Jedi.
Yeah,
This is where I did the same. Where I first thought this was like, oh, they turned him into Jolie, but then I reread it just as you did, and that he did revives non-Jedi.
right.
So
So it
then it's
isn't
trying to figure out
super
what
great
pops.
value for the
Yeah,
revive. Yeah.
exactly. Unless you could, again, we were theorizing for Gak, you could put him in like a SK comp, and so he can revive everybody on a Starkiller team.
Oh,
Um,
I like that a lot. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. So the trade-off, well, you'd have to shake things up if you wanted to have a tank then. You're usually using Jedi as your tank slot. So maybe
you'd have to
crew.
use, yeah, Crew or Ninth Sister or something like that.
Hmm.
Or you run, a Malgus lead or something. Who knows? You can go crazy with this. What's wild is you could go like Dark Side L3, which is they first broke that up, which you never could before. So you could have like the Malgus tank revive level 3, but then go with the healer 6 and Jedi Consular 9 and
Yes.
put that whole team together and make this funky, reviving tank, reviving team Starkiller comp. Like you could have all
That
this
that sounds
fun stuff
actually like
going on.
a mess to deal with on defense. Because it doesn't sound like it's particularly advantageous on offense. But
Hmm.
man, on defense, that would actually be a nightmare. That's so fun though. Yeah, I love that. All right,
So
so
the
sorry,
only
go ahead.
thing before we move on, the one thing to remember though for this one and Barris and the other ones on this is you are locked into the healer level 6 if you get to these level 9s. So these
Mm,
level 9s that are healers are only linked to that healer level 6. So you forego, in our SK example, using like the attacker, which SK is an attacker, he doesn't get to do the attacker level 6. So you're locked into that healer level 6. So it's trade-offs like, is this level 9 worth it for the team I'm trying to make, or is the level 6 better for the team I'm trying to build? And what are the pros and cons of that? This is what we're all going to be having to weigh for the next 2 months as we
that's a
kind of play with
great
this.
point. Usually, even if you're, let's say you've got all the level nines that you're looking for out of a set, you're probably accustomed to taking a Datacron that's already at something like level 8. You'll take it to 9 so that you can actually tweak the stats and apply it better
Mm-hmm.
on some specific team. Now you have to be really confident that you're okay with that level 6 beforehand, because if I understand you correctly, once you choose a level 9, you can re-roll that 6, but now you're only going to get that one roll that your level 9 character is.
Correct. You are locked into that healer or whatever that level 6 is. That's what I've found
Yeah.
from the re-rolling.
So you can get different, role specific roles, but you can't actually switch roles anymore. So that's a great observation. Thanks for that, Aesop. All right, next on deck is Barris Offee. Whenever Barris uses a special ability, all Jedi allies gain 15% max protection, stacking max 150% for the rest of the encounter. JML, anyone? Whenever she gains turn meter, all allies gain 10% max health, stacking max 150% for the rest of the encounter, and she dispels all buffs from a random enemy. And whenever Barris is critically hit, all Jedi allies gain 10% critical damage stacking for the rest of the encounter. People have been using Xeris with JML forever, and you're more
Yeah.
rewarded than ever for exactly that. I mean, whatever Jedi team I guess she'd be a huge benefit to. But I don't know about you, but like JML, like sounds like we're locking those two together for a while.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, now you're locked into that healer level 6 for JML versus if you wanted the tank level 6 for JML, where JML would get all these crazy buffs and max protection and all this fun stuff. You are now foregoing that level 6 and saying, nope, the healer is better for what I want to do with this, right? Same with
Right.
if you put, Barris with, the new queen once the Falcron's gone, for instance, same concept.
Yeah, there is a
So,
lot of depth to this because spoiler, folks. There's no JML, level 9 on here, right? So you're really
yeah.
having to think kind of ahead. Take a take a careful look when you've already rolled a level 6 on something and you're pushing up 7, 8, and you're about to roll your 9. Really pull up that menu and make sure you are ironclad. I know we already just mentioned this a second ago, but this is enormously consequential and it could get really expensive reroll wise. if you are just not happy with it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, good one. All right. Visas Mars is the first time she's defeated. If there is at least one other active ally, revive all other defeated allies, and other allies recover 100% health and protection. Gain 100% turn meter and 100% offense stacking until the end of battle. It's it sounds like something you could tuck her in. Let's see, all of the defeated allies. There's a
Hmm.
case for her to be tucked in with Ray.
Yeah. Or seer or any of these things, right?
Sure, that's
So
a good one too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this could be sneaky good. I don't see it as particularly useful with Starkiller because, yeah, if she's the last one to go, great, you could pull that. But if you're using this against a team where you're likely to lose, it's usually Ray,
mm,
and usually when characters are getting destroyed on the Ray team, it's by the Whirlwind. So nobody's coming back from that regardless.
yeah.
So
Well, just think
that's
on defense, like add her with like Malikos, right? And so you usually have to kill Malikos first because if you kill somebody else, they revive, right? So now if you went after and killed Beezus first, she'll come back based on her ability and also based on Malikos' ability, but then she'll also be granting 100% offense to I believe it's the whole team if I read this correctly. And
revive all other
all
allies, right? So all other. So you get the revival for
yeah,
someone who's dead, and then you get
yeah.
these buffs for the
Hmm.
living.
Yes. And so everyone's going to have 100% health protection and then 100% turn meter. So they'll all be full turn and then 100% offense. I don't know about you, but facing a Malikos with plus 100% offense and Yak would not be fun with him having 100% turn meter.
I want
So,
nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. Holy crap! That sounds so much fun. Okay, all right, next one. This one really just doesn't really merit much discussion because it's so mediocre. But it's IG-11's whenever another ally recovers protection, he gains foresight for one turn. You're just gonna have a better choice,
yeah.
almost assuredly. If you accident your way into it, great. You'll use it. I'm sure. Ewok Elder again. Eh. At the start of each of his turns, he resets his cooldowns, loses 5% health for each turn each ability was reduced, and he can't be defeated this way. If you've got a banging Ewok Elder team and you're in a level of play where your Ewoks are still actually doing decently well for you, maybe, but All right, next, Cup, Coruscant Underworld Police. Three abilities to choose from. So this is what I'm saying, where you've got opportunities to spend your time spinning your wheels on a few of these characters, looking for the right level 9. But this first ability is a
Well,
long
and
one. Sorry,
can
go
I
ahead.
stop you before you read it?
Please.
So we've now moved from healers, I believe, into supports. So cup is only, you can only obtain cup once you've rolled a support level 6.
Yeah, I wish they would have delineated that. But yes, all of these
I know.
first 5 were healers. All right, good observation. Appreciate you.
And now I think these are all supports going forward until we hit the attackers or tanks and then attackers. I don't remember which order it
Attackers
goes.
then tanks. Yep, is the way it'll flow
Yep.
if it follows the same write up. All right. So this first ability, whenever Cup uses a special ability, shock all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. So AOE shock is rare enough. One that you can't evade or resist, I don't think that exists in the game. So that's a big deal. The first time Cup reaches 50% health, he gains damage immunity for 3 turns, which can't be copied, but can be dispelled. At the start of Cup's turn, he gains 15% offense per active ally. His attacks ignore protection, and a random ally recovers 100% protection until the end of his turn. Whenever Cup uses a special ability, call all allies to assist, and the target enemy loses 10% max health until the end of the encounter. That's all one skill. So that's a pretty crazy ability, and the mind spins thinking about who this goes with. So there's your fit that you were thinking about for maybe Queen Amidala.
Yep. Absolutely. But again, that's if you want to be with the support
Which
level
there's
6. If that's
great reason to go support heavy
exactly.
for that particular team
Exactly.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't Cup get a kit tweak not long ago. Like I thought he had specific language in his kit that said on some abilities like it couldn't kill. Like it couldn't take somebody below 1 health or something like that in older days.
I, I have no idea. I have not looked at Cup's kit in a while. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
very very fair. Let's see here real quick. See, I thought that non-lethal takedown. I swear there used to be language saying that you couldn't take somebody, you can't deal fatal damage with the ability, but it's not there. And I checked it over. It's not on any of these abilities. So this basic's pretty good. 50% chance of stuns, not bad. AoE physical damage with some decent probability on offense down. Potency, and a passive turn meter gain whenever he's inflicting negative status effect. So this is the thing, if you're not familiar with this kit, big synergy for that AoE shock, right? He's going to be
Well,
flying. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Well, not just that, but if you imagine back to what was the support level 6 that we wanted,
Yeah.
was that you basically remove tenacity up if there was tenacity up, and you lower all targets tenacity to 0. So good luck to them resisting, and you stack tenacity. Stack potency because you're a support. If you land a debuff.
Yep. Yep. It's a mess. So that one's super powerful. And then you've got this next one, Cup. Whenever Cup uses a basic ability on their turn, other allies gain 25% turn meter. So I know Aesop likes this one as well. The first one seems so incredible, but
Yeah,
you got
I
anything
think
you
you
want to
probably
add
go
on
with
there?
the first one. No, it's just if it didn't have the on your turn, if it was just the basic, then you could TM train him using calls of assist and stuff. But with
Yeah.
it just being on his turn, yeah, I'm sure there's some situational use somewhere where you can loop somebody around and whatever. But yeah, I think you're probably still going with the first one here.
Right. All right, and then his last option, whenever Cup stuns an enemy, he gains 10% critical damage, stacking max 200%, and 5 speed, stacking max 50 until the end of the encounter. Sounds okay, but he's only got the one stunning ability. It's just 50% chance on basic. I
Hmm.
wouldn't I
Yeah,
wouldn't put a lot of stock in that. So
yeah,
clearly this first one's the winner. Next is Darth Nihilus. He's got two, long text and short. Long text is whenever Darth Nihilus reduces his cooldowns, he gains 75% offense and 20% turn meter for 1 turn. So think about that. That is per each instance of him reducing his cooldowns. So when he's using that ability, it can be up to 5 targets getting their cooldowns reduced. So that's per each. Wow. He could literally stack his offense insanely and just take another turn right after that, right? Basic slap, and I think it's maybe one more basic after that, and he's back to
hmm
drawing everybody out again with 75% more damage. Because you're used to neglecting his damage. You won't be. You won't be. All right. So that's just the first clause of this ability. Whenever Darth Nihilus defeats an enemy, expose all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded. Whenever Darth Nihilus inflicts damage over time on an enemy, which he does passively with a unique, right? All
Yep.
allies gain 3 stacks of heal over time for 2 turns. And if there is another Sith support ally at the start of the encounter, Darth Nihilus gains 100% max health for the rest of the encounter, and Treya is a support.
Right.
So, wow. What do you
Yeah.
got to say on this one, boss?
I'm gonna enjoy it in threes. I don't know in fives if it's gonna be as useful, but in threes for sure it's gonna be silly.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a real winner on its face. The next one for Nihilus, the first time he falls below 30% health, they dispel all debuffs on themselves, recover 40% health, and gain a bonus turn. So I really like this one because in the past it's bailed me out using JKR to take out a Treya team. And a big part of the strategy on that is you have to get Treya out first. Because if you try and go after Nihilus and you take him under 100% health while Treya lives, her unique is going to cause him to be able to immediately follow up with an execute. and somebody's going to go bye-bye. So you're used to taking out Treya first, but this effect would not ensure, but do a lot more to make sure that he gets one Annihilate off.
Yeah.
Because taking out Treya first won't save you from this effect. Anything else you wanted to add there? Sorry.
No, I'm still going probably with the first one.
Yeah.
There's situational uses, but a lot of times you want to take the guaranteed over the maybe it'll come in handy, but
yeah. When
you
I'm
don't always
looking
get
at
that
this
choice.
one, like I immediately thought it's like it's garbage, especially compared to the first one. But then I was like, oh well, hold on, well, just this like one case, it's actually interesting. But yes, definitely the first one. All right, on to Sortie. Both of these are kind of lame, guys. There's probably better choices for people to run this with. You might even grab. Well, I don't want to speak out of turn. But anyway, this one is whenever Sortie is dealt damage, reflect 20% of the damage dealt back onto the attacker is true damage. This damage can't defeat enemies. It's okay. And then at the start of her turn, dispel all debuffs on her. She recovers 5% health for each debuff dispelled this way. So those are her two abilities. They're just eh. 000. Now we're back to fun times. Whenever 000 uses an ability, he deals more damage equal to half of his tenacity percentage, max 100% or more max 100% more damage. This effect will only trigger if 000 has more than 0% tenacity. So the only real downside with this is you're generally not modding this guy for any particular amount of tenacity, and I not 100% sure. Sorry, what's that?
He doesn't do much damage either. So 50% of very little damage or whatever it is, deal more damage. It's not going to be much damage.
Well, see now, 000 I actually do have modded for a fair bit of offense in a speed set, and he actually can kick pretty well. But if he is kicking, it's not going to be because you put any particular emphasis on tenacity.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Now this next one, here's a fun one. Whenever 000 critically hits an enemy, he gains damage immunity for 1 turn, which can't be copied, 25% turn meter, and blinds that enemy for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. If the enemy was target locked, also gain protection up 100% for 2 turns, retribution, and speed up for 2 turns. So it sounds like a lot in this clause. The one thing to remember, I don't think is there a lot of advantage on Afra's team?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think they do have all high crit damage though. I don't know. I haven't looked at 000s, but I feel like my BT always crits.
Well, your BT I'm not worried about. Yeah, but 000 is a special damage dealer, generally very poor
Low crit chance.
On special crit chance. We can check real quick. But so while that seems very powerful, you would have to put in a decent amount of modding effort to see anything out of that. So this is like a Relic 9 character, right? We go down to special offense, only 16% critical chance, all Relic bonuses and everything included. So that's base though. You see, I made no special effort about stacking any. So yeah, I don't know how much use you'll get out of it, but on the occasion that he does crit, great stuff happens. All right, Wat Tambor. Whenever another ally is defeated, Wat takes a bonus turn and their cooldowns are reset. So I guess in the specific case that if your opponent fails to kill Wat on your trench team or something like that, if they fail to burst him out straight away and have to work their way through the rest of the team, sucks to be them. Otherwise, I feel like I wouldn't get a lot of value out of this one. What do you think, Aesop?
Yeah, I mean that's the only value. I think of it more for TW, honestly. Like, because a lot of times you go after Trench first, so because otherwise you're going to generate TM for him based on his Omicrons, right? So if you go kill Watt first, then all of a sudden Trench starts going, and then that team is off and running, right?
Fair.
But in this case, if you kill Trench first, all of a sudden that Watt takes a turn, brings Trench right back, and then you're back to where you started. Help you have TM control still.
Fair.
So
fair point. So yeah, perhaps very powerful in TW. But whenever Watt deals damage to an enemy, remove 25% turn meter from that enemy. So that's actually pretty interesting, right? Because Basically, whenever an ally of his that has an attack, I want to say does a special ability, Watt assists and
Hmm.
applies a stack of dot. So that's how I think that's the only way Watt
Yeah.
does damage, so to speak.
Correct.
So remove 25% turn meter from that enemy does seem to imply that it's still going to be a potency check every time that happens against Watt.
Yeah.
I
I think so
know
too. But Watt's got pretty high potency. I
he
mean, usually
does.
everyone's got
You could
Watt
still
modded
keep
for
him in like
potency. So
health primaries or
yeah.
something overall with just some decent potency secondaries, something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right, next one. This is more fun now. Whenever Stormtrooper Han gains taunt, all allies gain protection up 50% for 3 turns. While Stormtrooper Han is taunting, he gains 100% counter chance and defense and is immune to critical hits. Whenever Stormtrooper Han removes a turn meter from an enemy, reset Draw Fire's cooldown. That's his taunting skill. And then all allies have plus 50% offense while Stormtrooper Han's health is above 50%, and all allies gain 70% defense when his health is below 50%. He is a rebel. He is a
Hmm.
tank. Put him on a
Yes.
team with Leia. What do you get?
Yes. Especially that level 6.
That tank level 6 is just monstrous thinking about the synergy there. So that's a real horror show right there. I would not want to deal with that. The next one is whatever, I mean, certainly lesser of the two. The first time Stormtrooper Han goes below 100% health without dying, recover 100% health and protection, and gain 100% turn meter. Whenever, oh, sorry, I was actually just reading the next line in the Gar Saxon. So yeah, that's just it for Stormtrooper Han. It's okay. All right, two
Yeah.
abilities. Sorry, you had something?
Nope. Go
Nope.
for it.
Okay. Okay. Two abilities for Gar Saxon. Whenever Gar inflicts speed down on an enemy, he also inflicts vulnerable, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. Very interesting. To all enemies. Holy shit. For 1 turn, and his cooldowns are reset. Hold on. I have to read that again. Whenever he inflicts speed down on an enemy, and I want to say that's his special that does that. It isn't his basic.
I think it's a special. I'd have to
Yeah.
relook that up, but I
Yeah,
think you're
we
right.
we absolutely can quickly look that up. Mandalorian.
That's
Wait, that's
can't be.
yeah. They're not. They're
All right.
not. Man, I can't. You can't be a
I know.
Mandalorian racist. They're not all the same, Tassinix. They're not all the same.
Like his AoE, the second one. Yeah. Oh, it is on
No,
basic.
it's not. So it would have to be on his basic. Okay, so that so do
Only a
do
70% chance, and then you got
seventy
to pass the
percent chance.
potency check.
But it doesn't say yes, it does, but it also doesn't require that he's doing it on his turn. So this could be triggered on
Correct.
assists. Okay, okay, dig that. So let's go back in and look at it. Whenever he inflicts speed down, so this would be with his basic on an enemy, he also inflicts vulnerable. All this and which can't be blah 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 or resisted to all enemies. Right, right, right. So yeah, so he just needs the basic to land. Invulnerable gets
Hmm.
inflicted on all enemies for 1 turn, and his cooldowns are reset. Whenever he attacks out of turn, he blinds the enemy for 1 turn. In addition to this effect, right? Wow.
Yeah.
If Imperial Super Commando is an active ally, Gar Saxon assists whenever ISC uses a special ability. So that's actually a pretty effective 1-2 punch.
It is.
Wow.
I don't know if it's better than the next ability, though. That's the thing. Read the next
All
Garsaxon one.
right, here we go. Whenever another ally uses an ability on their turn, so any ally, not restricted by anything, Gar Saxon assists, limit once per turn, dealing 50% more damage. Uses an ability. Doesn't require that it's a special, so it could be a basic, it could be an anything. That is interesting.
Right, because I think when Gar goes, that triggers IST to go with him, too,
To
right? When he
assist,
attacks out of turn.
yeah, I mean, if he's getting called to assist, then I think so,
Hmm.
yes. That
So
is,
then that now you're calling Gar and IC with everything you do, right? With they're doing their true damage. They're doing significant damage. Because I think you have well modded Gar and ISC, right? So
high offense, yeah, I mean,
they're gonna hurt.
that sounds pretty brutal. And I guess intuitively it would require less work to just keep him as he is and use this second one, because the first one does make you want to have some amount of potency on Gar Saxon. You really
Hmm.
would want to inflict the speed down to get all this benefit.
Yeah.
Whereas this just isn't limited like that. All right. Vandor Chewbacca has two. Whenever he attacks out of turn, he recovers 20% health and protection. And then the next one is he has plus 5% max health and protection per relic level, and damage they receive is decreased by 15%. By far the standout for me in his particular case, because pretty much on any team that he's featured, he's there for the revival mechanic, which means he is priority numero uno to kill. So, making him bulkier is fantastic. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to throw in on that, but
No, again, it's nice, but I think we've now passed. We're in the tank section, right? I think Gar's a tank,
Gar,
Vandor's a
starting with
tank.
Gar. No, starting with
Yep,
Stormtrooper Han, right?
yep.
He was first of the tank, so thank you for calling that out. Yes. All right, moving on to Bosk. He has two abilities. Whenever Bosk uses a basic, he gains protection up 50%, stacking for 2 turns, and 50% turn meter. Whenever Bosk damages an enemy using a special ability, inflict fear for 1 turn on that enemy, which can't be resisted. The first part of the ability was good. I was going to be able to make effective use of that. That second ability seems gratuitous. That is nasty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You see any unique opportunities using that one?
I mean, again, the challenge with that is usually boss is the only tank on the team. So you're sacrificing any other, right? If you wanted to run, Fennec or other things with it, now giving up Fennec doing, 10 hits instead of 5 from our basic, right? And that's
Yeah,
special. So it's all back to the trade-offs is what is the value you're getting in one situation versus another. I mean, this is pretty sick though. So
it is. That it is. All right, next one for him. Whenever Bosk stuns an enemy, he gains 10% critical damage, stacking max 200%, and 5 speed, stacking max 50 until the end of the encounter. So the crit damage is meant to sneak up on you. You're mostly worried about the speed stacking because that calls him to do his whole circle of calling everybody again. But that's why you're not thinking about his damage, and then this ends up sneaking up on you later in the fight, and you get brapped by Bosk. However, this only occurs when he stuns. His only stun is on his mass assist. So,
yeah,
fair.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Too conditional.
yeah, there's two, exactly. Because again, who's really modding their boss to stun? You're just trying to stack him up with as much speed, protection, defense as you can, really. So yeah, it's an inconvenient way to have to mod him to take advantage of that. Gamguard has an ability. Now this one's kind of cool. Whenever he loses taunt, remove 50% turn meter from all enemies. So it does imply that we'd still have to pass a potency check. Unusual that you would have to mod him for that, but you're really not using this character in general. So putting him in potency mods for this kind of purpose is what the hell? Why not? The strength of this is it's plug and play. It could be used literally anywhere. Whenever he loses taunt, he's just removing 50% TM from all enemies. So I
Yeah.
don't know if something jumped out to you about how you wanted to use that.
No, you could, but the only thing that was interesting here is actually that they left out an ability. Gamguard has two, and they didn't list the other one. The other one's not that great either, but it's in game.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Right there's the second one. Second from the top. The third.
Yeah, okay, and here's his other one. Whenever Gamguard is dealt special damage, the other ally with the most health taunts for 2 turns. Yeah, that seems way worse than the first one, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Thank you for catching that one. I would never have known. Okay, Enfys Nest has some interesting stuff going on. So, 2 abilities for her. First one, Enfys Nest is immune to max health reduction. One of the primary ways of dealing with her is reducing her max health. Whenever Nest inflicts a debuff on an enemy, she gains critical damage up 20% until the end of the encounter. Wow, That's good. Whenever Nest uses special ability, she attacks again, dealing an additional 20% damage as true damage. So whenever she uses a special, she attacks. So I assume that means that she's doing the special and following it up with a basic.
Correct.
And then whenever Nest attacks out of turn, she exposes the target enemy for 2 turns. She already has expose in her kit, so that's terrible. At the start of her turn, Nest damage is increased by 10% stacking for every enemy turn taken before this turn until the end of her turn, and will assist the next other ally to take a turn. So just make her wood slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
You want slow, hitting hard, with as much health as you can, and just let her go to town.
This is jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
This is raid boss quality because of the first line alone. That immunity to max health reduction, plus all of this. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay. Next
Gonna have
ability.
fun in threes.
Oh my god. The mind boggles, actually, thinking about what you could do with this.
Well, now you're combining it with the level 6s too. You got to remember that you're going to combine it with it. We've now moved to attackers, and so she's going
Yes.
to be
Oh,
able to
so
have
it did
these
have us do it.
multi-attack.
Tanks ahead of attackers covering this in the list.
Yeah.
They switched that up. All right. Okay, yeah, Gamguard was the last of the tanks, and Emphys is the first of our attackers covered. All right, so the second Emphys ability, the first time she's defeated, they are revived with 100% health, gain protection over time, 75% for 2 turns, and take a bonus turn. Not bad, but it's nothing compared to that first one, in my opinion. All right, Aiden Versio has 2 abilities. At the start of the encounter, Aiden gains Taunt, which can't be dispelled until she is defeated, which is, wow, so kind of like a mini gas effect there. Oh, that's kind of cool. Whenever a non-droid Imperial Trooper is defeated, she gains Taunt, which can't be dispelled until she is defeated. So they make you have to work through her, triggering her revive, stalling you out, making her revive. Now you could exploit that with something that, is like a anti-revive effect, but interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then her second ability is Aiden gains 15% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. That's deceptively dangerous because so much depends on, like when you're doing a Wampa counter on something, is you have to find your window in between when the enemies don't have the revival buff. Like you've already killed them, they've revived, now you need to kill them before she reapplies that, and this could really throw a wrench in that. That's kind of cool. Anything you wanted to mention on her?
No, it's going to be fun to play with these. I think the first one, honestly, is going to have more. I don't think it stops Wampa or it stops Adrad, which are your 2 known Aiden counters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to do much for that, but I think on offense, there might be some fun applications for Aiden where they're stuck going at Aiden over and over again.
Yeah, I like that.
Where you could actually pull some stuff off. So
that's smart. All right, Night Trooper. So this is the ability that's reserved for only those of you that chose to whale and unlock Night Trooper during the initial marquee release. You lucky skunks you. This ability says, at the start of the battle, Night Trooper gains 75% potency and 25 speed until the end of the encounter. Whenever an enemy is inflicted with a stack of blight, they inflict themselves with another stack, which can't be dispelled until the end of the encounter or until they fully recover their health. Whenever an enemy that already had blight is inflicted with another stack of blight by an ally, inflict blight on another random enemy that doesn't have it, which can't be dispelled, until the end of the encounter or until they fully recover their health. Whenever Night Trooper uses Shambling Shot, they gain an additional 3 stacks of blight until the end of the encounter. Whenever an ally or enemy gains or is inflicted with blight, Night Trooper recovers 20% health and gains 25% offense stacking for 2 turns. So, yeah, just as the Padawan Obi-Wan Kron before this, put a lot of sugar on top to sweeten the deal for you to wail out on the initial release. That's what this one's for. Sabine Wren has 2 abilities here. Whenever an enemy takes a turn, Sabine takes a bonus turn. During this bonus turn, she deals 100% more damage. This bonus turn can't trigger this effect on enemies. Okay. So, wow. On your Phoenix team, you're usually having her drop that AoE stagger. And then if you can have something quickly bring her back around, like bring back that cool. I want to say it's like 3 round, 5 round. It's a decent cooldown on that ability. But bringing that back sooner can't be terrible. And then her next one says at the start of her turn, she has a 20% chance to gain 50% defense penetration for one turn. If it weren't as low as 20%, that might be interesting. But what do you think about these abilities, Aesop?
I mean, I'm bonus turns are always fun to play with,
Yeah.
and they always have interesting, especially when you have a mass AoE stagger. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am very curious what we can do with this. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to remod her though, because like right now I have her modded for like speed, right? You want her going fast, time it, so when it things out. She doesn't need speed anymore.
I
She's gonna be
keep her in
taking
a
her
fast
turns.
crit damage and potency set is what I've committed her to for some time. I guess that's okay for
Well,
for
now I
taking.
want to see, but she deals 100% more damage now on her
Yeah,
bonus turns. So
yeah,
can she actually dole out some damage too?
and
Um,
it's important to remember you're mostly thinking about her applications with Phoenix, but don't forget she's
oh
technically a
yeah,
light side Mandalorian,
absolutely.
so there might be some meat on them bones. Okay,
Oh yeah.
next up, young Han Solo. Whenever he gains Retribution, he also gains 10% health steal and 10% defense, stacking max 200%, and 10 speed, stacking max 200 for the rest of the encounter, which sounds pretty decent. And then you remember he's actually stacking speed in his own kit. So you're double dipping on that. There's an opportunity for him to just completely pop off. This could be one of those one-off attackers that, like right now, is going to hit way harder than usual. And then you're thinking about, if this guy can take advantage of that double attacking attacker level 6. Sounds nasty. And then his other one says he deals 5% more damage per relic amplifier level on all allies. It's maybe strong if you've got a lot of relics baked into his team, but certainly less interesting than that first one. Anything you wanted to mention here?
No, I still think I don't know that I'm going to use it right over Vandor or whatever Kron in the comp. That's the key is we'll figure it out. But because again, Dash is unfortunately supportive. Dash is an attacker, fantastic. Again, link to the attackers. I'm always
Yeah.
thinking through
Yeah.
what that level 6 is going to impact on the team. So
Fantastic. Sorry about the riding lawnmower noise going by, but yeah, it's that time of day. All right, next up is Wampa. I don't think we've ever had a level 9 devoted to old girl, so good to see her getting some attention. Whenever she inflicts a debuff, she has two abilities. Whenever she inflicts a debuff, she recovers 25% of her max health and max protection, limit once per turn. It's okay. Remember, she's going to be inflicting debuffs quite a bit, so it's all right. And then her other ability says whenever she uses an ability, she deals more damage, maximum of 100%, equal to half of her potency percentage. And this effect will only trigger if she has more than 0% potency. So I'm not usually modding her for a specific amount of potency, but I might see if I might fold some in while maintaining most of the same stat balance. What do you think about these, Aesop?
yeah, I'm leaning towards the second one because for me anyway, using Wampa, if she's dropping below max health and I'm needing to recover health, like I probably shouldn't have taken Wampa into that fight in the first place. Because usually you're sitting there like you lose some protection. If you really want that first one to like recover that extra banner to get the 69 versus the 68 or whatever it is in threes, I can't even remember the score. I think the second one's going to be the better one because again, this she's an attacker. I always go back to the attacker, the level 6. That's going to be the engine behind this. So attacking out a turn is now going to do true damage. You're now going to do more true damage. I think potentially with the second potency, extra damage, and so you're just doing more damage, and you're going to attack twice, like when you use your basic, and so it's just going to be damage on damage and damage. And so any of those fights where you're going to try to time Wampa out, you might be able to do more. And so, maybe you can take on more with Wampa than you could before. I'm going to push the Wampa to the limits and see what we can do. So
Very fair. Very fair. And last on our list is Geonosian Soldier with two abilities. First one is whenever he critically hits an enemy, he gains 10% crit damage, defense penetration, and offense, stacking max 200% until the end of battle. And the second one is whenever he damages an ability with a special and the enemy doesn't have Armor Shred, inflict Armor Shred for the rest of the battle. Whenever he uses a basic ability and damages an enemy with Armor Shred, inflict Expose for 2 turns on that enemy, which can't be resisted, and then he gains protection up 50% stacking for 2 turns. So, I mean, the first one seems like it's good for him specifically. The second one seems like it's incredible just for the whole team. Thoughts on that, Aesop?
To be honest, this is the first time I've read this. I've pretty much passed out from excitement every time trying to make it this far and reading these lists. So
every time I sat down to read about this, I'm mostly going through the bulk of this list fresh, like with you here for the first time, because about halfway through, or just short of halfway through this page, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to retain most of this, and I'll just enjoy reading it more when we go to record this.
yeah, I haven't even thought. Sure, I mean, if I have a Geo team, I have this cron, I'm putting it on, but I don't. To me, so far, it doesn't stand out as something I'm going to hunt for relative to anything else. But Geo's attacking extra again, coming back to your level 6 that you're going to have in order to get to this. I think Spy is the other attacker on the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Spy is going to get extra attacks. Spy doing extra 2 damage actually going to be nasty. Ooh, that could be sick actually. So
yes.
Because the Spy's going to be taking out a turn all the time, right? Anytime a Geo takes a turn, right, you're doing true damage. The Spy should already be jacked for offense, so that could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
There should be fun stuff with this.
And this is inflicting Expose on a team that's already inflicting Expose.
Exactly.
It's a nasty bit. Okay. Now I know we talked about this before we go live. I'm actually excited. Let's talk about the must-haves. All right. Who would you say? Now this could be as little as 1, maybe up to 3. Like, what do you think are the absolute must-have crons from this set? We can start, from the level 9, and I guess kind of discuss maybe what kind of 3 and 6 you think would be a good pairing with it. But who jumps right out at you? You gotta have them.
The problem is I don't know. Like this, this is one. The Sabine one could be dirty. Bonus turns are almost always disgusting.
Okay.
The Nest one looks silly good.
Yes, it does.
Barris looks a lot of fun also for the healer side. So does the Visas. The tank ones, I mean, I think again it's going to be more we're going to apply the tank elsewhere for the rest of them. I mean, Stormtrooper Hun could be cool. Garth Saxon could be cool in the right Mandalorian team or right Empire team or something, right? They're going to have some situations, but like in past sets, it's like this is the one. It's obvious. It's the dunk. It's going to be the super meta, right? In this case, because there's so much flexibility with all the different pieces, it's maybe. I mean, we're going to see which GL does this raise to, almost unbeatable status, and I have no idea. Like putting Nest with Rey or, whatever it happens to be, I have no idea.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that we've kind of just observed here making this video is it's like you're wanting to think about how to capitalize on the most of whatever role that you have in a given team, right? Like if you're going for attacker, have multiple attackers in the team. If you're going for a support level 6, have multiple supports. So to that end, kind of craft around that. And what was it that I was just thinking about? Like for me, feel free to chirp in when you think about one that really just seems like a winner. But Stormtrooper Han jumps right out at me. If you're going with a tank level 6, the tank level 6 that we discussed, you've got Stormtrooper Han under Leia. That is a significant change to the durability of that team. Like that one just seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, for sure. But you could also maybe it could work with Kara under. Actually, is Kara an attacker? Is she a tank? I think she's a tank.
I think she's a tank. We'll pull her up real quick.
Because you could do something fun with Sana too. Like all of a sudden, Sana becomes silly good magically.
True. Where you at, Kara?
Because you got multiple tanks on that team, and I don't know. You could do some fun stuff. So
there she is. She is a tank. Man, see what I'm saying? Like Tank level 6, Stormtrooper Han. I'm feeling it. I'm
Yeah.
feeling it, man. All right, so
Oh
that's
yeah.
a winner for me. Trying to see who else jumps out at me. I liked the Nest one. I strongly agree with you there. Sabine seems. I think she's gonna be better. Uh, I think you. I think you accurately rate it. Like I think she's better than it initially appears. Particularly, I'm interested in thinking about whether or not there's more merit in working this with Phoenix or BKM. That is a good one. Aside from that, the Darth Nihilus one actually feels like it's going to be a pretty big value add. Treya is almost always a threat that commands something just shy of a GL, if not of a GL, and adding any kind of wrinkle into that seems great. It also happens that he's a support, Trey is a support. You've got nice synergy there. Yes, your mention about Visas Mar. This seems like if you're willing to experiment with her outside of Starkiller, or maybe with like that Malgus lead Starkiller, like you mentioned on defense, that there
Well, that
could
was
be.
with the Datacron, but yeah, the Visas I was thinking was just a Seer Malicos team, right? As the
That's
full
true.
UFU,
Yeah.
right? So there's just you have a lot of theory crafting. This is theory crafting Christmas or
It's a
Hanukkah or
thinking man
whatever
set. Yeah.
holiday. Yeah,
The Barris one is potentially okay, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's no miss. And same with Jedi Counselor, potentially really good, but I wouldn't say no miss. Still, if I stumbled across either of these, I'd be very happy to see either one. But that's about it from what jumped right out at me. Anything else you wanted to throw in on that, Aesop?
no, I think the power of this is going to be the level sixes. That's what I think. I think the nines, except for maybe a few, are nice to have. Sixes, I think, are going to really power teams that people are going to see and notice and feel
Yeah.
in the stats. I think there's defense on this Cron set too, so you can go super high defense, which is always interesting. So
I wish they'd have the stats here on this same post. But yes, that is the stat mix is actually really encouraging on this too. I like the stat mix that they put in with this set. All right, man. I think we're about ready to wrap up. Did you have any other thought that you'd like to throw out to the people before we close out?
no, and if you come up with any really super clever ideas, feel free to DM me and don't share with Tass, so I can make sure to stay ahead of him and Gak.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I checked your history recently. I see you're holding to the pattern that I was for a little while before I lost enough matches to actually start having to fight more people. But it looks like you get about one real match a week, yeah?
Yeah, it's my weekly lose to Kabuki match. Or
Yay!
exactly.
Fantastic. Yeah, I
I
see.
beat him once. It happened once.
That's
But
right.
he's
And you have to hold on to
got
that.
my
You
number.
really do. Um, how you feeling about that, man? Does CG need to get up off their ass or fix their damn game, or are you okay just getting a free 1,800 crystals a week?
I definitely want them to fix it. That being said, I'm seeing less Erodium counts are joining, so it seems like the feed has stopped, and so now Partik has made it up to us. And there's
I
two
saw
accounts,
that.
so
I
I
saw
have
that.
potential for 2 fights a week. And I think I see you and Sasha and Cyrus and some other guys climbing up. So
Coming soon.
eventually
Coming
knocking them
soon.
down. Exactly. So we'll have a top eight again.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Seriously though, CG, fix your damn game. All right. It's time to wrap this one up. Of course, if you want to be in touch, the link to my Discord is on the channel here on Tassinix Gaming in the channel info. So it's also in my link section in the video description. So find me either way. Of course, if you're watching this on Tassinix Gaming YouTube, you already know that I upload my VODs. I stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tassinix. But I upload my VODs to YouTube with chapters added for easy browsing. I have these Datacron set videos here, now new for set 16, but we also have the previous set 15, which is still live. You might get some use out of that, so that's there. And I also have my mod guide series that I started not too long ago, covering individual characters and the teams that they work on, trying to give you a in-depth understanding of how to best mod an individual character. You guys have been really supportive on that. I'm enjoying making those videos, so thank you. I'll keep that going. And of course, I have my GSC focused podcast, Plotting and Scheming, that I make with my buddies Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. That is a weekend review format. We go over the meta matchups of the week, our favorite attack, our favorite defense, what our lessons learned are going into the next week, and anything else we think is worth sharing with you. Let's see, I think that about wraps up the YouTube. So yeah, and then of course, if you want to support me and you enjoy what I'm doing on the channel, feel free to check out my Patreon. I probably didn't set that up right. Yep, I gotta put up the right page first. Check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, there's something of value to you. $5 gets your foot in the door to the Tass House, where you get early access to Plotting and Scheming, these Datacron set videos, and you get dedicated text and voice chat where you can usually find me lurking if you want to pick my brain. Thank you so much to these VIP Access members: Andrew, White Wolf, Sam Vibes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Rays Malbus, Brock Thudsteel, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cow 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions Twitch, Sweens14, Darth QPPMG, and Arj. Stepping up to the $10 tier is VIP Access Plus. You get a bundled access to me and to OmegaBot Patreon. So if you watch my streams, it is the tool I love using to get an at-a-glance view of my opponent's tendencies offensively, defensively. Nothing better for that. Thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam for taking that offer. And at $15, you get the Double Bot bundle at VIP Access Premium. So that's to me, to OmegaBot, and Hot Utils Patreon, the premier tool for mass inventory management, mass loadout movement, re-rolling, leveling, all of that. And of course, there's GAC scouting functions, TW functions, and a whole bunch more, I'm sure. Thank you so much to Quig, Ibenek, Sir Boss, Trevor Boy Gaming, and Funky. And I want to say I have a new patron, Focus, that just joined VIP Access Premium, so I don't have that on the slide yet, but I didn't want you to think I forgot you, buddy. And then, of course, at the top of the heap, Ingestors Club Elite, Nomad's Reaper, my #1 supporter. This guy will just pop into stream from time to time, drop hundreds of subs on the channel, thousands of biddies, incredible support over the years. Thank you so much, man. Last but never least, our special thanks. First to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you so much for managing our rambunctious daughter in the background and affording me the time to record this show. And last but never least, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha, my aforementioned co-hosts on Plotting and Scheming. It is always herding cats to make our show possible, but we're still getting it done more than a year out on a weekly basis. Thank you guys so much for making the time in your busy schedules. The show is great. I enjoy making it. Folks are loving it. Wouldn't change a thing. All right, folks, we're wrapping up this video. Hope you enjoyed. Share your comments, your ideas, and I'll be sure to interact with you guys in the comments. I'll try and bring any interesting discussion points to Aesop and maybe follow up with you. Try and get you some good information there. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.